Hello there. In this video, I'm going to show you how to use the various options available for the graph and data table when analyzing campaign data. Within the Analyze tool, you'll find the graph top center and the data table bottom center. Let's start by clicking the Reset button located in the upper right corner of the graph. This resets all parameters back to their default settings. Your graph and data table will only refresh if your default view is different than your current view. You'll notice that my default view is impressions by day, as indicated by the title above the graph. Your default view may be different. Now let's review the various options located above our graph. The first thing we see is the Date drop-down menu. This shows the current time period for our displayed data. You can change this by selecting any time period displayed in the drop-down list, or simply by typing the desired date range directly in the menu box. Just to the right of the Date drop-down menu, you'll notice a calendar icon. Click here to see 3 calendar months, where you can select a date range by clicking the first day and then the last day of your desired date range. Click the X in the upper right corner of the dialog box to close it. Next, you'll see 2 drop-down menus for currency. By default, the currency drop-down menu on the left displays the currency default on your data table. You can change this by selecting any currency type listed in the menu. This will update all currency columns displayed in the data table below. The second currency drop-down menu to the right allows you to add a second column of currency for comparison. This is great if you have a company that operates out of more than one location where the currencies are different. In my example, I have selected US dollar as my default currency and Canadian dollar as my second currency for comparison. The Hide Chart is a toggle button that allows you to switch between hiding and showing the graph. The next 2 buttons allow you to control how and when the data in the graph and table are updated or refreshed. AutoQuery is the default setting. This means that when a new view is selected or when dimensions or metrics are added or removed, the graph and data table will update and refresh immediately. If you click the AutoQuery button, it will change to Manual Query. With Manual Query, any changes made will not update or be reflected immediately. For example, if I select the dimension date, nothing updates in my view. Instead, the Update button turns red. This indicates that a change has been requested but not made. Simply click the red Update button to update the graph and the data table. Manual Query is ideal when you're making changes to a data set that is large or covers a large period of time. Next, we have the CSV button. Clicking this will automatically save the current data table displayed below to a CSV file named analyze.csv. You can then open that file in almost any spreadsheet software application. The next button, Reset, we mentioned earlier, and clicking this button will reset all parameters back to their default settings. By the way, your graph and data table will only refresh if your default view is different than the current view. Over to the left, we find 4 toggle buttons: month, week, day, and hour. These buttons allow us to change the time granularity on the graph. To make a change, simply click the desired increment. This will automatically update and refresh the graph. Next, we have lines and stacked area. These buttons are used to toggle the display style of the graph. The default display is lines, which simply displays a line graph view. By selecting stacked area, the area under the line will be highlighted. When the graph has multiple lines, both the lines and highlighted areas will be color-coded for easier viewing. Now let's look at the 2 checkboxes located at the top left corner of our data table below. The first checkbox is for total. Selecting this checkbox will enable all columns with number values to be totaled or averaged across the top row when there are multiple rows in the data table. The percent checkbox will add a second column to the right of each column with a number value. The percent column will display a percentage value for each of the numbers in the column directly to the left. Finally, let's talk about sorting and filtering column data in the table. Start by hovering over any column heading. You'll see a drop-down arrow that appears to the right of the column heading name. Click the arrow to display the options. You can sort ascending, descending, or select filters to create and apply a custom filter. I'm going to select Sort Ascending. This will automatically sort and update my data table in that order. This concludes our video on how to use the various options available for the graph and data table within Analyze. In the next video, we will cover using dimensions and metrics.